In this session, How to Maximize Your Cloud Modernization Mojo, we will discuss how to unlock the potential of data in the cloud with Talend, AWS, and Snowflake. I'm Simon Swan, the Head of Field Solution Strategy at Talend. Our agenda today covers the potential issues organizations face on this journey. We get some cloud modernization perspectives from AWS and Snowflake, and then I'll showcase some of the techniques we can utilize in Talend Data Fabric to ensure your projects are successful. So, let's get started. When people say cloud modernization or data modernization, what does that mean? Well, primarily, it's cloud migration, moving your data, analytics, and apps from legacy on-prem systems to the cloud. That said, it's also about the enterprise adoption of modern cloud capabilities to really unlock the full potential of the platform, rather than just a lift and shift. To be successful, we really need to start optimizing cloud data management to continuously monitor your data and usage. This way, we can fully embrace the benefits of high availability and scale, storage and compute, and ensure transparent and efficient budgeting. The benefits of moving your data and apps to the cloud are already universally established, and as adoption increases, so does confidence, ensuring your decision is industry validated and you're not blazing a trail into the unknown. If we consider just a few points here. So we look at intelligent applications. They are built around sentiment analysis that surface recommendations, and AI and ML can provide rich, personalized, and adaptive experiences so your team make better decisions when communicating with customers. Then we have scaling. Peak revenue opportunities drive utilizations of services and data. Being able to handle time-sensitive events such as Black Friday when workloads are orders of magnitude greater will drive revenue generation. Device data, huge volumes of collected data that can be effectively monitored and available across your organization, adding sentiment and measurement to your decisions. Let's address the growing trend of how more people consume data. The ability to be self-service with data empowers new business initiatives. However, we need to streamline those touch points to make data more accessible and centrally governed, so your team isn't focused on the management of the data, but the utilization of your most potent asset. It's incredibly exciting to see organizations both embark and continue on this journey. Imagine your business being able to deliver on all of these initiatives. Top consulting firm McKinsey Digital has estimated the business value potential of cloud adoption to be $1 trillion. However, what we are seeing today, as reported by multiple analysts and researchers, is that collectively cloud journeys can be challenging and uneven. Despite cloud growth, the majority of IT expenditure is still on-premise. This can be driven by topics like unresolved security concerns and compliance, which stifles adoption. CEOs acknowledge that skills required to migrate data to the cloud may be hard to acquire or very much in demand. Finally, when your organization undertakes this journey, what does success look like? Are you able to fully migrate your systems? And what about the risk of key initiatives falling behind or even being scrapped? While the benefits of our cloud journey are incredible, the pain is tangible. Enterprise-wide goals are hard to agree and achieve, and management of the essential people, processes, and data can be challenging. So, what are some of the barriers that businesses are facing? Why have some businesses not been able to see these benefits or meet the objectives they wanted? One reason is that cloud migrations are incredibly complex. As a result of that complexity, it's very common for the work to be done independently using point solutions for data management, which results in the same data silos, but in the cloud. When there is a lack of organization-wide adoption, cloud modernization efforts can be undermined. This failure is not a failure of process, but of culture. The work to migrate is wasted if companies do not include cloud as part of their business strategy. In fact, Unisys reports that 75% of cloud migrations fail for that reason. There needs to be a commitment for centralized data governance and management, so progress scales throughout your whole organization. And thirdly, when businesses approach a cloud-only approach and move all datasets and workloads to a single cloud, there is additional risk. Did you make the correct platform choice? Will you be locked in? Are you able to convert everything and boil the ocean all at once? So let's turn our attention to the solution so businesses can get ahead of those challenges. To navigate through the complexity, introduce a unified data management system that spans the entire data lifecycle from ingestion to integration to tackle the issue of siloed data. To increase adoption, utilize an intuitive self-service platform that features experiences like data sharing, data governance, and data stewardship to empower your citizen data integrators and data specialists and foster that culture of collaboration. Instead of cloud only, think of modernization as cloud first. Businesses are recognizing the value and the benefits of a hybrid cloud model. Additionally, breaking down a large data migration initiative into smaller projects can deliver value to the business sooner. So I feel like we're starting to get our mojo back. Let's take a look at a real-world example. Tokyo Marine Kiln, a leading international insurer and underwriter, and they were facing some challenges. Their data sources and volumes were growing exponentially on legacy systems. And as an insurance company, they operate in a highly regulated industry, so they had data privacy and security issues. They needed to better control governance for their reporting for regulators and also their board. SLAs were impossible to meet. They did not have timely insights for their satellite officers. So what did they do? As we said earlier, developing an org-wide data strategy is essential. They moved their data into a Snowflake data warehouse hosted by AWS using Talend, modernizing their infrastructure. They also introduced workflows to enable seamless data sharing between systems. This means they are now able to focus on regulatory compliance. In the short time they have implemented these changes, well, what are the results? Firstly, they have cut their reporting time from 14 down to 4 hours. They're now able to standardize on a business intelligence platform to provide reporting for regulators and their board, and they have greater agility by introducing dynamic, data-driven decisions based on external conditions, such as constantly changing exchange rates. So the question remains, how does Talend help customers and partners achieve this state of cloud maturity? Talend's data fabric focuses on establishing 3 core pillars to provide a consistent and centralized platform for end-to-end adoption throughout your whole organization. Those pillars are Talend's expansive data integration capabilities. We want to connect anything to anything to ensure data agility. We want to smash those silos. Application and API integration makes data available, shareable, and fluid throughout the whole organization to create that culture of accessibility and collaboration. And then we need to build trust and confidence through the whole data lifecycle with a centrally managed platform for data integrity and governance. So, Talend Data Fabric is far from a vacuum. It's actually a nexus for other technology platforms, partners, and services. Talend works hand in hand with technology partners such as AWS and Snowflake to increase the adoption and the success of these platforms. Our robust tech partner ecosystems means that we support platform improvements and adoption of new tools and practices with each release. We layer on our network of service providers, including Talend Professional Services, top system integrators, and value-added resellers. This allows you to accelerate delivery, work towards best practices, and even form your own center of excellence to drive innovation and adoption. I think we've maximized our cloud modernization mojo. So at this stage, I'd like to hand over to Cameron Davey, Talend's Principal Solutions Engineer, for a fireside chat with his counterparts from Snowflake and AWS.
Great. Thank you, Simon. I'm Cameron Davey. I'm the Principal Solutions Engineer here at Talend on our Technology Alliances team. And with me today is Ripu Jayan from Snowflake and Tamara Ostakova from AWS. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Great. Thank you. So Talend and AWS and Snowflake have a history of working all together in a lot of different deals together. But with all of these types of partnerships, the data landscape is pretty complex. And that first challenge of modernizing data and getting data, say, off of on-premise into the cloud, up into the Snowflakes and the AWS environments of the world, it can be challenging. So Tamara, the first question is for you. What are the top challenges that you see customers struggling with when it comes to modernizing data and applications?
That's a very timely question because today data volumes increasing from terabytes to petabytes and sometimes exabytes of data. And data comes in different formats, which makes it challenging to extract value from the data. And traditional on-premises data analytics approaches can handle these data volumes and data diversity. That's why we hear from many of our customers that they want to modernize the data and applications to extract more value from the data. They want to support long-term business goals and meet business requirements, but they struggle with challenges when they migrate from legacy systems to modern data platform. The first challenge is that data is growing exponentially. So the question is how to support scalability. The second question and challenge for customers is data coming from many sources in different formats. Okay, how we can support data connectivity. And the third one, how to move clean and validated data. So how to support data unification, data transformation, and data quality. And the next challenge, the data needs to be securely accessed, and how we can meet governance and regulations compliances, and how to build fully automated and easily managed data platform. And one more challenge is how to build cost-effective data platform with the lowest total cost of ownership. These are the primary challenges our customers face when planning data and application modernization today.
As companies are considering these challenges, I think there's also a lot of misinformation about modernizing and maybe taking that first step. So Ripu, to you, what are some of those misconceptions or kind of bits of information do you think that customers have when it comes to modernizing data and applications as they're getting started on this journey?
Yeah, it is going to be a long journey, but hopefully a pleasant one. But the latest misconception with respect to Snowflake that's been making the rounds on social verse is that Snowflake is too expensive. Now, to that, I say that data platforms are complicated to begin with, and they're not commodities, right? There's no single price tag that can tell you the true TCO that would consider the long-term cost of a product or solution, incorporating the business value retrieved from that product. The second misconception is around Snowflake lock-in. Snowflake's networking backbone, we call it the Snow Grid, allows the same Snowflake features and experience to be available across all three major clouds, across most cloud regions, making it a true cloud agnostic data cloud. Also, Snowflake's recent support for Apache Iceberg table format and partnerships with Dell and Pure Storage ensures our commitment towards meeting the customers where they are with open formats and on-premise locations as well.
Awesome. And I think that that is very important to understand cost and lock-in, because I think that those are two things really that from the modernization perspective are probably two of the first things that get considered, right? Like, am I quote unquote stuck with this for a while, and how much is it going to cost me? Those are obviously two big ones that people are considering. Tamara, back to you. So you talked about these challenges. You know, you talked about governance and exponential growth to data and the sheer volumes and sources and different formats of all this stuff. It is a lot to consider. Talend and AWS have been helping to solve this problem actually for quite a while now. How does, from the AWS side, how does the combination of Talend and AWS help solve these customer challenges from a technical perspective?
AWS offers services that provide the best price performance, scalability, and high security, and the lowest cost. But additional to our services, Talend Data Fabric makes it easy to collect, transform, clean, govern, and share the data. With 80+ connectors and components to AWS and serverless Spark processing, and Talend helps accelerate migration to the cloud by providing trusted and governed data for data lake, for data warehouse, and big data processing that can be run on AWS. Together with AWS and Talend, we have thousands of mutual customers globally and across all industries.
Excellent. And Ripu, same question to you. You talked a little bit about the misconceptions, but in combination of the misconceptions and the challenges, what does the combination of Talend and Snowflake offer to help these customer challenges?
Yeah, Snowflake and Talend is a pretty popular combination in the ecosystem. We mutually have over 1,200 customers across several industries, and while the customer use cases are unique with respect to an organization's desired business outcome, the data sources involved and the data volumes involved, but the design patterns are more or less similar. And Talend, being an elite Snowflake tech partner, makes it seamless to adopt and implement those patterns with best practices. Talend's suite of products for data ingestion, GUI-based transformation pipeline building, orchestration, as well as data governance, help our customers overcome their data challenges. Chris Portelli, CTO of Me Direct Bank, says, and I quote, from Talend's handling of numerous internal and external data sources for analysis to the ease, scale, and power of Snowflake, we believe that we have found a perfect balance and a winning formula to transition to the cloud and support our future growth.
That's great. And I'm glad you brought up Me Direct Bank. An excellent joint case study between Talend and Snowflake. Last question for you, Ripu, just continuing on with that. So, you know, we've talked about the challenges of getting the data up into the cloud and up into Snowflake and AWS, et cetera. So, you know, the next question is, okay, so now that we've got our data into the cloud, now what? What do customers need to think about after they've made that first initial step, which is a big one, but what do they need to think about after they make that first leap into the cloud with their data?
Yeah, great question. So yes, while we say Snowflake can handle all and any type of data workloads and use cases and data shapes and volumes, the fact remains that garbage in, garbage out, right? Snowflake is a data platform, and if an organization brings in low quality data, the analytics and insights will also be not that useful. All three of us here will agree and emphasize that giving early and intentional thought to data governance, quality, and observability practices is critical to all data teams for delivering successful data products.
A great point. And one of the 4 reasons why, as Snowflake was developing Snowpark, which is the API interface to be able to push processing and push functionality from their ISV partners down into the Snowflake compute layer, which is one of the reasons why we developed the native trust score for Snowflake. So it really allows Talend and Snowflake joint customers to bring that data quality assessment to their Snowflake environment, right? So they can figure out, I've got my data in, is it garbage, right? Like you just said, or can I assess what level of quality I have, trustability I have within my data, and I don't have to leave the Snowflake environment. I can do all that compute down there, leveraging the compute. So yes, a really great story, and definitely something to think about is make sure you understand that next step, which is how can I trust my data? And Tamara, last question. So now that we have our data in the cloud, what can customers do on AWS to help accelerate and maximize the value and the kind of ongoing adoption of data?
That's a correct question. When you moved your data to AWS, it can be stored in S3 data lake, for example, or data warehouse. For example, you can use AWS native Redshift data warehouse or Snowflake's running on AWS. In any of these options, you can use all capabilities of modern data architecture on AWS that can help you accelerate and maximize data adoption. With modern data architecture on AWS, you can seamlessly integrate your data lake, data warehouse, and purpose-built data stores, like transactional databases, for example, Aurora RDS or NoSQL DynamoDB, for example. So you can use any of these options depending on your use case. And on top of your data, you can do analytics and machine learning. For machine learning tasks, we provide Amazon SageMaker and list of machine learning services that can also be integrated into platform. And for data visualization, you have already data stored somewhere. You need visualized data. You can use Amazon QuickSight and perform advanced analytics with built-in machine learning insights. For example, anomaly detection and multi-dimensional forecasting and natural language queries. All these purpose-built services provide best price performance and scalability, security, and the lowest cost. So with modern data architecture on AWS, together with our partners such as Data Lake and Snowflake, customers can make better decisions, respond faster to unexpected changes, increase efficiency, discover new opportunities, and drive new innovations to their business.
That's excellent. I think that one thing that's obvious to me, as I've been able to work with both of you for a while now, and when we've been able to talk to customers or other joint partners, et cetera, is that the combination of Talend and AWS and Snowflake not only makes it really easy and straightforward to get data up to your cloud easily, but the capabilities go much farther beyond just get my data to the cloud. We definitely want all of our customers to get there as that first step. But once you're there, using Talend and AWS and Snowflake all together, you can go way beyond just get my data into the cloud. You've got trustworthy data, you've got data ready for AI and ML, and those services are all there ready to use, which is great. Tamara, Ripu, thank you both for your time today. Really appreciate the chat.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your partnership.
Simon, back over to you.
Thank you, Cam, Ripu, and Tamara for all of your insight. As you can see from this diagram, we need to set the stage before we dive deep into modernizing cloud data. It's common for companies to have a mixture of on-prem data sources, web apps, and they may already have some data in the cloud. From the outset, it's important to align the migration with either a business initiative or a line of business. Remember, we want to provide interim deliverables, so a review may uncover additional requirements which shape your approach and planning. Because data ingestion is usually the first step, a reusable pattern can be created which you can then parameterize with inputs and outputs. This metadata-driven framework approach is highly effective in tackling workloads at scale and provides incredible agility. Landing your data is usually the first hurdle, but with Talend's Data Fabric, you are actually able to incorporate the ability to profile, standardize, and clean your data in the pipeline. Having a single source of truth is a great start, and so Talend's Data Inventory will allow you to socialize data throughout your organization and also assess its viability with the Talend Trust Score. Talend Studio and Stitch are two persona-focused experiences for data integration for both an analyst and a developer respectively, and so we're going to be touching on both of those. What is important to consider is our deployment options, be it using Talend's native cloud engine infrastructure, a processing engine co-located with your data within your virtual private cloud, a serverless deployment for your workload with Kubernetes or maybe Docker, and even using the compute functions of the cloud platforms to push down SQL workloads to scale with your compute resources. Right, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's get cracking with the demonstration. One great way of connecting your app and legacy infrastructure to your cloud is using Stitch. Stitch is a full-service web application with the connectors, the infrastructure, the scheduling, and the reporting all centrally managed. In this example, I am going to connect to Salesforce CRM to allow me to synchronize data with the cloud. I have the option of pushing bulk updates or just promote the changes to my destination, which in this instance will be Snowflake on AWS. I can also determine the frequency of the integration from minutes to a daily or weekly schedule. Once a connection is made, I can select the tables I would like to replicate, which fields I would like to include, and we are done. As you can tell, Stitch is easy to use, but don't let appearances deceive you. It can move huge volumes of data too. If we are looking for ingestion that happens in real time, we may consider Talend Change Data Capture, which allows us to connect to log-based systems with very little load on the production environment. Now my data is replicated to Snowflake, I can connect my Snowflake data warehouse to Talend Data Inventory to socialize and share with the rest of the team. To connect a data source, it's as simple as creating a connection using my connection string details, and then to pull all my tables in at once, I create a crawler to iterate through the tables that I want to showcase. Talend has recently developed a native trust score for Snowflake utilizing Snowpark, so the computation is pushed to Snowflake and the trust score is constantly updated. The team can now tag, rate, and share datasets widely. If we need to improve and profile our data, we can consider Talend Data Preparation to apply centralized data quality checks and measurements. These reusable assets allow us to deploy intelligence at scale over all of our datasets with native centralized curation and role management. Next up, we have Talend Studio, a feature-rich development studio for our developers. I'm going to replicate what we did earlier, and I'm going to pull two objects from Salesforce. We have our account table and our contact table, and I'm going to create those as inputs into this particular job. There we go. We're going to go ahead and grab the contacts and do the same there. I'm going to use a T-map to join the two sets together and to create an output schema. So if I link the account here and then the contact by dragging and dropping, I can go into the T-map, and first of all, I can create the empty schema. There we go, it's empty. I'm going to go ahead and add a new schema. I'm then going to link together the accounts and contacts by ID to account ID. And then following that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the billing information, the billing address information, and transfer that over to the output, in addition to the name details from the contact object. There we go. You can see that the schema has been populated there on the right hand side. Okay, so next what I want to do is I want to create something called a T-log row. This will actually write the feedback to the console at the bottom. This is for the developer experience, so when I run the job, I can see the data itself. I'm also going to use our existing Snowflake connection and connect that to the T-log row. So this will actually write the information out to Snowflake. Now, what you're seeing here for the developer point of view is that the repository contains all of the connections that I have at my disposal. These could be shared and socialized throughout my whole team. I'm going to create a new table called Talend Connect. And once that's created, the only thing I need to do is make sure that I have the correct schema and also overwrite anything that's already there. Once I've done this as a developer, I can hit run and I can actually go ahead and run that job. Pretty straightforward. What we should see at the bottom is the feedback, and just pointing out on the right hand side here is the palette with all of the connectors and transformations supported. There are thousands within the product itself. Right, going to run this, only a few records, but you can see at the bottom those have been written out. Then the next step is for me to actually go ahead and to create an artifact from this job, which I can do by right clicking the job, and I can say publish to cloud. I have my own area within Talend Cloud here, so I'm going to go ahead and create that. And while that's running, let's take a quick look at the data in Snowflake. There it is. This is our Talend Connect table, which we've just populated from that job. Very, very straightforward. This next job is a little bit more complicated. We're using connection components to store the connection. These connections can then be reused by other components. We can also use things like context variables at runtime to actually template the job. In addition to this, we have a data preparation which we're using. We're doing some encryption, and we also have the ability to sort, to aggregate the data before we do a bulk load into Snowflake from S3. This job is different. What we're doing here is we're creating SQL that we're actually pushing down to the Snowflake cluster. We're creating links to the tables, and using a TELT map, what we're able to do is to actually create the SQL which we push down. You can see we have the source and the destination schema. In this particular one, we're doing group by and order by to aggregate the data, and we've also got some computation on certain fields here. Once we've done this, we can see the SQL previewed in real time. You can actually apply this directly onto your Snowflake database. The objective here obviously is to create this, to orchestrate this particular job, and to run it remotely so we can actually get that performance increase. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about how we actually orchestrate jobs and create remote engines to run them. Now, we haven't forgotten about the artifact we published earlier on. What we need to do next is to run this using a remote engine. Remember, Talend Studio is a Java code generator. The remote engine runs the Java code. A remote engine can be a single engine or a cluster. It can basically work with high availability. But what we need to do is we need to create a key with which we can link the remote engine to Talend Management Console. You can see here that I have the key. Now we need to create our remote engine. One incredibly easy way of creating a remote engine is to visit the AWS Marketplace. We have an engine already stood up. You can use an AMI to create the engine, and what we do, we implement it in an EC2 instance. What we need is the key that we just have to connect the remote engine to Talend Management Console. Pretty straightforward. Everything that you need here is already pre-configured. It uses a T2 medium instance, which is very capable for a Talend remote engine. As you can see, I'm just launching the instance now. And the final thing I want to show is the security measures which are taking place. Now, a Talend remote engine really is only used to send telemetric information back to Talend Studio. And if you go to security here, you can see that the port we have open is port number 22. Going back into Talend Management Console, if we refresh, we'll now see that our remote engine is paired. We're operational, we're ready to run our job. Going to the Management tab, I want to take a look at the artifact that I created. There it is. You can see here that if I click on it, I can see a preview and also any version information. Collaborating as a team, you can have multiple different artifacts. I'm going to add this as a task. A task is a unit of work. You can have multiple tasks in a plan. I'm going to select the engine that I just created. And once I've done that, I'm then going to schedule this particular task. Triggers are a very flexible way of running your Talend jobs within Talend Management Console. You can use webhooks, you can use cron jobs, you can put them on a schedule and they will run. However, you can use external orchestration platforms too. In this particular example, I'm just going to schedule this job to run once, and we are now live with this job, harnessing the full power of the cloud to ingest our data into Snowflake with a Talend job running in AWS. Now, as a next step, if I am feeling adventurous, I could automate the CI/CD pipeline, pulling my artifact from my Git repository, using Jenkins to deploy my job to dev, to test, from production use, and even implement test use cases so I can identify any issues with my development pipeline. So, to recap, we have been hands-on with Talend Data Fabric, but only really scratched the surface. We have viewed data ingestion from two different perspectives using powerful cloud-native tools, Stitch and Talend Studio. Our cloud data assets are socialized in data inventory, and we are promoting data to our partner platforms so you can explore the wealth of tools available in these ecosystems to truly modernize your cloud data. Talend looks forward to hearing more from you about your cloud journey, to allow us to partner with you to unlock your data and to maximize your mojo. Thank you for joining me today for this session.